So with all the planner choices and notebooks that are out there, sometimes I catch myself thinking about which planner to use, what notebook to use, how my planner should look like, and really forgetting about the purpose of me planning, which is to be productive and keep on top of all of my tasks and all of the things that I need to do. So I really have to step back and think about my system and what really works for me. So today I've broken down my planner routine into 5 simple steps that I've really been able to transfer into whatever planner notebook I'm using, as well as whatever stage of life I'm in. So for example, last year I went back to work after a maternity leave, and now I'm starting to go back into the office. And with those changes, my planners and notebooks had to change, but my foundational system I've been able to apply to whatever planner I'm in. And speaking of going back into the office, I wanted to give you guys an update on my beautiful work bag from Teddy Blake. I did a video on it a couple videos back. I'll link it up here. I was talking about how I needed a new work bag now that I'm going back into the office, and it's so hard to find anything. And Teddy Blake offers so many amazing luxury bags without the luxury price tag, so we all love that. And I wanted to see how the bag was going to hold up, especially with me going into the office, taking the subway, putting my bag down, bringing my lunch in the bag, as well as my gym clothes. And I gotta say, it still looks pristine. It just looks amazing. I just love this bag for that beautiful red interior. I've shown you guys in that video before, but it just looks so good. It's holding up amazing. It still has that new leather smell, which I absolutely love. And speaking of which, Teddy Blake is having a Valentine's Day sale this month with discounts starting from 45% off. They have so many different bag designs, and they are all beautiful, so perfect for work. So if you guys are looking for a bag, I highly recommend that you guys check it out. And thank you so much to Teddy Blake for sponsoring this portion of the video. And I will leave all of the information down in the box below. So back to the planner routine. So the first step is just brain dumping or writing things down. I've talked about this a lot in previous videos. This is a concept in a lot of planner systems, for example, Getting Things Done, which I talk a lot about on this channel, but just writing it all down and getting it out of your head and brain dumping that information somewhere is really the first step to any kind of planner system. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just need to write it down somewhere, preferably in one spot or consolidated into one spot.
So I use the GTD method by David Allen, but essentially it's just an inbox where I brain dump all of my tasks, ideas, to-dos, etc. into this one master list. It's titled GTD Master List, but you can use a piece of paper, a blank notebook. It can be anything where you jot down all of your brain dump ideas. So I have them in different categories based on the GTD method, but essentially it's just like a categorized to-do list. And I just find it gives me a little bit of organization as I'm brain dumping all of the items instead of, starting from a completely blank slate. But essentially, it's just a brain dump in a list format, categorized into some certain categories. So you'll see that my categories, for example, are calendar, next actions, just, I can start the task. It's one item. I can get going on it. Waiting on is something that I've delegated to somebody. Then there's projects, which is kind of multi-step items to do that I can't just, do quickly and tick off. And then some things that I know I'm not going to do in this coming week, but possibly in the future. And then some reference items that I'll store in a reference planner or a reference binder somewhere. So those are just kind of the various categories you can think of them as. And I just go in here and I dump all of my ideas and kind of put them to where they should go. This helps me a lot, especially as I get into step 2, and you'll see why. But this is essentially where I brain dump all of my information. The other thing that I like to do to brain dump my information is using my calendar on Google Calendar. So for things that are specific day events or appointments, I just like to put them straight into the calendar. And I use Google Calendar just because I have a family calendar that I share with my husband, and it's easy just to drop in there and I know that I'll check there. But for other things that could be day specific to-do items or things that I'm not sure of, I'll just put into my brain dump, and I'll just put put a little tick to say it's a calendar item, I think, at this point. For to-dos on a specific calendar day, I don't like to directly put it into my Google Calendar because sometimes, you know how it is, the days could change, the things could change, week to week changes so quickly that I don't want to assign it to a specific day until I kind of know better as the week goes on. So that's how I do my brain dump.
So my step number 2 is to assign all of those tasks and items that I listed down on my brain dump from step 1 into a specific day of the week. And I like to assign everything to a specific day just because I find if I keep it as a weekly to-do list, then I'll never tackle any of them because the list seems so long. Whereas if I break them into chunks and assign them into a specific day that makes sense, I'm more likely to do it because it's on my radar for that day.
And so in step number 2, this is where those categories have really helped me. Now, if you're interested in the GTD method, but you have no idea what it's about, I have a few videos that I'll link up here, an actual playlist of GTD items that you can scroll through and learn about the system. So here I have my brain dump from step 1, and what I'll do is go in and basically look at the calendar section, the next actions, as well as the projects. So basically the tasks within those 3 categories I will assign onto the week. I kind of ignore the someday maybe, the reference, as well as the waiting on, because those are kind of items that I don't really need to assign anything for, because I know that, for example, something in a someday maybe I don't plan to do this week already. So it's as easy as just going through and assigning a day to it if you want. Like you could put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday onto these specific items. But for me to kind of alleviate that step, all I do is I plop those items onto the specific day into my weekly planner. So basically I'll go through the next actions items and all of the tasks there and kind of assign it to a day that I think that I can do those tasks. As well, I will go into, for example, projects. Now I know projects is a bigger set of tasks, but within my projects, I'll select a couple of items that I think I can do that day, and I'll plop it on the specific weekday. And like I mentioned, I don't like to just have all of my tasks for the week in one big list, because then I get kind of overwhelmed with that list and I get a little bit of paralysis of, oh my gosh, which one should I tackle? So instead, I kind of like to organize where they should go. And if it's something that really I don't think I'm going to be able to fit into a specific day realistically, then I'll kind of put it onto the weekly list. But I try to do that as little as possible just to kind of force me to be a bit more productive day to day. And I know for some people, they might think that this really bogs them down a little bit from a daily perspective because now they feel overwhelmed with all of the tasks for the day. And if they don't get to it, then they feel like a failure for not getting to it. So that's what I love about the digital system, though, is even though I assign it to that specific day of the week, I can always easily move it around in my digital planner just by copying, pasting, and dragging it to wherever I need to move it to. Now, if you are in a paper planner, you can still recreate this exact concept just by writing those tasks onto a little page flag, and then it'll be easy for you to move to whatever day if you can't get to it. And in my next step, I'll kind of talk you through how you would prioritize all of the tasks that you have assigned on a specific day. But just for those of you who are kind of concerned about putting something on a specific day and then it changing, I would highly recommend trying out this kind of page flag idea where you just write the one task onto a page flag and then you can move it around on your weekly planner.
So step number 3 relates to my daily planning, and I like to do this the day before. So after step 2, where I've assigned my task to a specific day, then I'll prioritize that list of tasks for the day. I also here like to apply the 2-minute rule. So basically anything that takes 2 minutes or less, I'll just do them right away instead of trying to prioritize them throughout the day.
So here on my planner, I'm actually kind of using the Franklin Covey system where you have your daily tasks and then you assign them a particular priority as well as the order of when you're going to do them. So A being the highest priority, B, and then C, of course, and then what order you should do those tasks in. And that's what the 1 and 2s are for beside each of those letters. And I just really find that this helps me to get going on the tasks right away instead of sitting there and thinking about where should I start and what task to get started on.
So step number 4 is to remove any barriers. And what I mean by that is anything that I need to do the next day that I know I'm not going to want to do or that I can make simpler, I'm going to try to remove the barriers to doing those things. So to give you an example, if I know I'm working out first thing in the morning the next day, I like to roll out my workout mat and put on my gym clothes first thing in the morning. I do that so that prevents me from sitting there and being like, oh, I don't want to work out, I don't want to get my gym clothes on. When you've already done that first step, it just feels natural to kind of keep progressing on that task. Another example is if I know that I need to bring something, for example, for my daughter's daycare, I'll put it in a bag and leave it by the door so that I don't forget and I don't have to worry about forgetting because I know I'm going to be going out the door. So these are kind of just little things that I'll do ahead of the time to remove those barriers to those tasks the next day, or just make it easier to complete the task. And step number 5 is time blocking. And I actually didn't realize until very recently that I had been doing this because I was doing it so much in my work calendar that I kind of just forgot that I had done this. So time blocking is a pretty simple technique where you block chunks of time throughout the day for tasks that you need to do. So I do this in my work calendar because my meetings are already in there, and so those times are already blocked off. And then with the remaining opening times, I will block off chunks of time for my top priorities for that day.
So this is my work calendar, and I've had to scroll to a time in the calendar where I don't actually have any meetings between 12 a.m. to 10 a.m. basically, because there are some confidential items that I don't want to share. But you can kind of see that I already have some meetings in place that are set from my colleagues, etc., for work. And you can imagine in like a busy week, there will be a lot of meetings spread throughout the week. And then that way I can already see the chunks of time that I do have for time blocking for other priority tasks. And that is where I'll bring in my daily planner and find those A1 task items and assign a chunk of time to complete those priority tasks that I know needs to be done in that day. And of course, sometimes those priority tasks could be related to personal items that are done outside of work. And of course, usually if it's something that's outside of the work hours, i.e. after 6 p.m., I typically just do it in my daily planner instead of my work planner.
So those were the 5 steps that I use for my weekly planner routine that I can apply to any notebook, any planner, and any stage of life. If you guys found those helpful, please let me know down below and let me know which step really resonated with you, or if there's any other steps that you guys use in your planner routine, because we would all love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.